Hello, listeners. Welcome back to another episode of the Millennium Live podcast. I'm Connor Tui, the host of Millennium Live podcast series that we're doing with our great partners and members. And we have somebody who has joined us in the past, and I'm happy to have him back and talk a little bit more about grip security and the cybersecurity world, and specifically SaaS identity risk management, which they are pioneers for. But I wanted to introduce our guest before we really deep dive into that. Lior Yarri, he's the co-founder and CEO of Grip Security. Welcome back onto the podcast, Lior. It's great to have you back here again.
Yeah, it's great to being again. Being here again. Thank you for having me. The company has completely changed since we met last time, maybe a year and a half ago. We tripled in size in the US. We over doubled in size globally. We went up maybe 500%, 600% in revenue. And it's been a terrific journey. So I'm happy to be here again with newer and fresher perspectives on the SaaS identity space.
Yeah, and that's exactly, I think that's a perfect way to start the podcast is to maybe give us a little bit of a rundown of where you were when we last spoke and last had you on the podcast to now. I know you raised your B round back in August of last year, and what kind of exciting innovations that are going on at Grip Security and what your focus is on for this year in 2024.
Yeah, perfect. So Drip is a SaaS identity risk management solution. We see how every business today uses SaaS as kind of the operation system of the business. And while the barrier for adoption for SaaS applications are a sign-up form, you and me and every other business department in the organization can go and sign up. Um, Most companies don't have sufficient tooling to understand what their SaaS exposure looks like and manage identities within them. So when we talked back in the day, maybe 16, 17 months ago, the company was a year and a half old. Now we're almost 3 years old. We raised the second largest B round of the year in cyber for 2023. And we're growing in a way that we thought to be unimaginable before, which for me is personally exciting. As I'm looking at how the markets change, is I think companies trying to innovate, especially in a hard financial year like 2023, where every improvement you can make, financial improvement you make in the business, dramatically impacts your chances of success within a financial crisis. Companies are embracing newer technologies. And for us, it was an amazing opportunity to just go and grow and help them do that in a secure manner.
Grip is, the first company in the market helping companies with SaaS identity risk management. And I'd like to know a little bit more about the issue that you are solving, and specifically, especially since the company has grown so much over the last few years. How has the market for SaaS identity risk management developed over the past few years as you've grown? Obviously, there's a problem to
So
be solved.
yeah, the market is directly correlated with the problem. If the SaaS problem gets bigger, the market gets bigger and vice versa. From our perspective, the culture has changed in a way where when businesses hire employees, they kind of expect them to bring the technologies with them. When you hire an expert in data analytics, you don't bring them in and tell them what tools to work for. Part of the reason you're bringing them in is because they know what the right tools are, and you expect them to innovate in those space. The way they do that is that they go and bring in new solutions, and as they do that, they do not necessarily ask for permission. Not because they're bad, not because they're trying to hide things, just because in a large organization, assuming every employee knows every business process and policy is ridiculous. There's too many policies to be remembered by every employee in the business, and they want to move fast. They don't want the business to disturb them, and they don't think they're doing something wrong, especially the younger generation. With that, you're seeing, the average 5,000 people enterprise uses 1,500 different SaaS solution and adopts 25 new applications every month. So every year you get 250 to 300 new solutions in the business. It's something that you cannot just manage manually, not at the scale that the problem exists, because you need to multiply those applications with the number of user identities created in them. So, everyone who's watching this can take a moment and think of the 5 password-based applications that they need to sign up to when they come into work. If you were to leave the organization having access to those, this access would stay active. No one knows you're using the app. No one can deactivate the user. And in many scenarios, those are applications you sign up to yourself. There's no realistic option to deactivate the user for the user. IT does no longer have control over the borders of the network because the network is the entire internet where SaaS applications reside. And you need tools that are identity centric in the way they operate, you need to solve an identity first problem with an identity first solution. And this is where Grip comes in. What's unique about the tech that we offer is that we use no proxies and no agents, so the deployment basically takes 10 minutes. And then we're able to map every SaaS application that the business is using and every user identity created within it, understand the risk in both the app and the user, and use automation to regain control over those applications. If it means offboarding users, accelerating identity programs like SSO, enforcing the MFA Everywhere program for compliance reasons like DORA or NYDFS, and basically accelerating the way the business secure how their users can innovate.
Speaking of apps, and of course, speaking of AI, does the Grip platform work in identifying generative AI apps?
That's an amazing question you're asking right now, because generative AI, I think, disrupts every part of the business, but security as well. Because now that the business wants to be innovative, they go ahead and use AI tools, and those tools save our data, train on our data, leverage our data in means that sometimes breach the confidentiality of how we used to secure it before. From our standpoint, AI tools such as SaaS tools using AI, the same risks that exist within SaaS applications apply to generative AI with an additional flair of the compliance breach in not detecting it. So one of the first things we did when generative AI was released is released our own generative AI combatant feature, meaning helping the CISO organization understand their AI exposure and then gain control and manage policy and be able to proactively support the businesses using AI. And again, AI is not bad for you. Using AI without understanding how it's being used is bad for you. So as long as you have the visibility and control, it's a blessing for the business. It saves time and it saves you money.
How are companies trying to solve for this issue today? And specifically, why is it inefficient? What's going on there?
Yeah. When companies trying to solve for it today, they usually do it the manual way. So they go to ChatGPT and they block it on the network, and they issue a policy saying, you're not allowed to use tools that use the data that you upload there to train. And I said there's already too many policies. I don't think the average employee understand what it means. And they would, monitor network traffic to bug. But there's a challenge in this because, if you go to the average security organization and ask them what are they doing about Jasper, automated note taking, what are they doing about Lavender AI, what are they doing about Reality AI, they would usually say, never heard this name before, because AI is not just ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the leading, most famous, biggest, most successful AI solution that's out there, but it's the engine that drives hundreds and thousands of different businesses today that have the same exact risk. It's just a wrapper, fancy wrapper for ChatGPT with additional focused targeted capabilities. But they have the same risk surface that ChatGPT introduced. And if you go manually, no security organization should assume that they know every app that's out there. I don't know every app that's out there. We find, about 50 new AI applications in our customer base every month because people are signing up to new tools. From my perspective, the reason that the way businesses go about it is wrong is because it doesn't scale. and it really narrows the problem to a single application. It would be the same as saying, how do you deal with this, share the drive problem? Will people extract their data to share drives on the internet? And you would respond with, we block Dropbox. It's good to block Dropbox, but there's, 50 plus Dropbox competitors out there. What do you do about that?
So actually, I now I kind of want to dive into how you solve these problems and really how do you do it? And you know, how does Grip do what it does on a daily basis? I know an interesting aspect of the business is that Grip uses email as a discovery data source. And so how can we categorize the risk of apps to prioritize prioritize these action items?
Yeah. So one exactly, we understand that the one ubiquitous way SaaS applications and user identities communicate is email. So we leverage AI ourselves, NLP, natural language processing, to easily connect into Google or Microsoft and then be able to gain visibility to those touch points and immediately know who's using which application in the business. Now, when you ask how we go about it, I can start with a security cliche, which is you cannot protect what you don't know. Uh, every every security problem, the solution starts with visibility, and we're not unique in that sense. Just our visibility is the best out there. So we find all of those applications that are out there, and specifically in Gen AI, you need to understand the landscape. We have the advantage where our team can, manually categorize every AI application that's out there. So we have this data source and list of all of the AI tools. But after you gain the visibility, step two is control. And that goes from GRC controls. We automate questionnaire sending, assessing the business, understanding if it's trustworthy business. That's one. We automate identity management, enforcing MFA, enforcing strong passwords, accelerating SSO adoption, offboarding the users when it's time for the user to be offboarded. And we automate security operations around third-party breaches and third-party breach remediation, so that if either your users using AI are exposed or that the applications that you're working with was breached or harmed in any way, you'll be the first to know about it and the first to fix it. Really, people test Grip for the visibility, they buy Grip for the automation.
Yes. Well, that's good. You didn't have to spill any secret sauce or secret formula for. But I'm actually curious specifically about SaaS licenses or perhaps some inactive accounts
Yeah.
and ways that Grip and the platform can be used to find these unused licenses or inactive accounts where license can be terminated in order to save money, and that helps with a business's budget.
Yeah. One of the amazing things about SaaS, unlike how we used tools before, is that you pay by identity. When you create a user, you pay more. When you delete it, you pay less. So when having this accurate visibility to your SaaS portfolio, you can identify things you don't need. Let's say you have 15 different Monday tenants. If you just consolidate them to a single one, you can save money by having the upgraded license. That's one. You can find things that compete with each other. Some companies have GitLab and GitHub. They have HubSpot and Salesforce, and you can consolidate them into a single license and save money again. But the most important thing is that we have the ability to automatically understand where there are accounts that people are under leveraging. You gave them access for a one-time thing. You pay them a yearly subscription. You pay a yearly subscription for them, but then they haven't logged in the last 4, 5, 6 months. And we help companies apply a don't use it, you lose it kind of policy, which basically allows them to save hundreds and thousands of dollars, even for small organizations.
What about IaaS or PaaS services like AWS or GCP? Does Grip help secure those types of services too?
So, cloud security is an entire universe of problems, but we have our share in it as well, especially when When businesses innovate, they create separate environments for the project. Those environments are ones the CISO is responsible for. If your shadow AWS environment is breached, the CISO is still responsible for those sensitive data there. And we have the ability, because for us, AWS is, again, just another SaaS, to discover all of the different tenants of those IaaS instances, discover in a way where we show you what's known and in your control, and we show you what's considered to be a shadow environment so that you can get it into your control. It has obvious security benefits, but what people don't realize is that there's also great financial benefits to it. Most companies today have a contract with AWS for discounted compute. If you have a shadow environment, you don't get this discount. So by taking the tenant ID and emailing Amazon, you get a 50% discount to all of your compute for your shadow environments. This is how companies can save millions.
So, getting into the latter part of this interview, I think we've saved the fun questions for last, but I think some of our members would love some use cases to go with this product and some real life examples. So, Lior, as a co-founder and CEO, can you give us some real life examples where this the grip platform really came into play?
Yeah, I can find some top stories. We had a customer that had some of the board data leaked. When they tried to investigate, one of the things we find out is that some of the past employees, specifically the EA of one of the executives, still had access to the board reporting application with access to board data, continuous access forever because the user is still there. This would have been stopped if they used grip before, and it was stopped by using grip mid POC. Now, obviously, we're working together successfully. Another great example is that we had about a dozen of our customers using Circle CI. Circle CI was breached, the secrets leaked out, but for the average company, reaction time is about a week because you need to go and find the users and understand the use cases. With Grip, they were able to immediately map it, understand the exposure, and then automatically rotate the credentials of all of the users, not only for Circle CI, because the credentials for Circle CI was leaked, but to all of the other password-based applications that we're using, because we want to help them defend from credential stuffing attacks. Attackers take the credentials they've stolen and try to log in using the identity to other applications. This is a scenario where using grip, we help reduce reaction time from a week to about 2 hours. Maybe I'll give another example that's not as dramatic, but we think a lot of how do we add passive value to the organization. Passive in the sense that the security team doesn't need to log into our dashboard to gain better security for the business. And we have many dozens of customers that connect Grip to their offboarding workflow so that every time one of the employees leaves the business, we're able to automatically gather those disparate, unconnected SaaS applications, unconnected to SSO, and offboard access from them as well, essentially making sure they're staying compliant and that they're staying effective in revoking access to sensitive data in the business.
Yeah, those are excellent real life examples, and it's great to know about, being able to identify those wasted SaaS licenses and end up helping businesses and enterprise save money. So, Lior, this has been a great chat. I will have one final question for you, and it's always how we like to end the podcast here at Millennium Live, and it's about looking ahead and all the great work that's being done at Grip and the platform, how it's used in this space is only going to get better. But one of the things that we know is that shadow SaaS, the problem's only going to get worse. Identity security, there's a lot of things going on there, and ultimately is to deliver that good business value and how CISOs are going to look at how they're budgeting for this year and beyond is certainly going to be about business benefits and not just security. So, what are you seeing out there? What are your priorities for Grip for the next year or two? And what do you see on the horizon?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for 2024. My personal goals want to double in size every year. We plan to do so in 2024 as well. There's no reason not to, and significantly increase revenue. That we do that every year. There's no reason not to. But Grip is becoming a key player in the SaaS security space. For the SaaS security space for both SaaS and identity grows exponentially. It's clear to everyone that in a world of access from anywhere and data everywhere, identity and context become the ultimate control surface. And we're going to be this control surface for when companies need it as their business adopts and accelerates.
Let's make this a yearly podcast, Lior. I want
Yeah.
to, I
See you in
want
2025.
to. Yeah, we're on the roll here. So, Lior, thank you so much for taking the time out. I know you're very busy and joining Millennium Live for another great episode and helping us and our members with SaaS identity risk management. You guys are pioneering this space, and it's only going to get better. And I'm looking forward to hearing more about the journey that Grip is on and the growth that you're having over there. So, Lior, thanks again, man, and hope to have you on in the future and see you at the next CISO assembly.
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for the partnership.